Today we are going to start with the new chapter, that is chapter number 4, that is Animal Kingdom. In Animal Kingdom we learnt about plant kingdom, we learnt about different types of kingdom, right? We learnt about Monera, Protista, fungi, plantae and Animalia. These are the total 5 types of kingdoms that you are going to learn. In Monera we learnt about different types of bacteria. There are photosynthetic, chemosynthetic, all different types, correct? Heterotrophic bacteria. Then we learnt about kingdom Protista, fungi, plantae in the previous chapter. You can go once and just revise through the chapter. At least just watch the summary of the chapter so that you understand whatever I have taught until now. Now we are going to start with animal kingdom. In animal kingdom, we are going to learn obviously about animals. So let's start with the chapter. So when you look around you see different types of animals. You see different animals, they have different structure and different form. Dog look very different from cat looks very different from a snake looks very different from a mouse. So all these are organisms which have different structures and different form, and there are over a million species of animals. So many species, different types of animals are there that have been described till now, and because of that the need of classification becomes very important. The classification helps us to assign systematic position. It helps us to assign proper positions, systematically arrange all the organism in different phyla. Different phylums we can classify them, right? Kingdom, phylum, in many phylums we can classify organisms. So that is why it becomes very important. So what is the basis of classification? Based on what am I going to classify organism? I know it is very important to classify organism, but based on what? So I am going to classify different types of organism based on their structure, and because they have different types of structure, right? And in relation to how the cells are arranged. How are the cells arranged? Whether they are loosely packed, tightly packed, how the body symmetry is. Is the body symmetrical? For example, if you cut my body into half from here, this part and this part is almost same. So like that, is their body symmetrical? What is the nature of coelom? Coelom is the body cavity. How we have body cavity inside our alimentary canal, right? Our alimentary canal is our body's cavity. From the mouth, in the mouth we have cavity, right? So how is the body cavity of different organism? Patterns of digestive system, how the digestive system is. Circulatory and reproductive systems, how is the circulatory system? Blood circulation, how it takes place, and how is the reproductive system. So these features are used to classify organisms. So based on structure, based on how the cell type is, how the body structure is, how whether it is symmetrical or not symmetrical, whether how their coelom is, body cavity, how is the reproductive and circulatory system. Now there are different levels of organization. When you organize the animals, we can organize in the body. Levels of organization means how is the organization of cells in the body, how it is made up of. Is it made up of just cells? Is it made up of lot of cells working together in the form of a tissue, or is it made up of, see for example, whether it is just cells, whether it is lot of cells joining together and forming tissues. Some organisms don't form tissue, they are just in the form of cell. Some are tissue, lot of tissues will join together and they will form organs. Lot of organs join together and form organ system. So is it that we have these different levels of classification? In humans, for example, we have organ system, that is in human, but there are some organisms which just have organs. They don't have proper system. We have circulatory system, but some organisms don't have entire circulatory system. They just have one part. Different organs they have. But for us, different organs work together and form a system. Brain, spinal cord, nerves, all those form our nervous system, entire neural system, right? So it is completely a system. Digestive system. We don't just have stomach. Different or some organisms just have a stomach which digests the food. They don't have entire system for digestion. So this is known as organ level of classification, where you don't have proper system, just you have organs. But if the organs are also joining together and performing one function, that is known as organ system of classification. So you can see different pattern. So for example, some have very loose cells. Cells are not arranged very tightly, very loose cells are there. So they exhibit cellular level of organization. And some organisms, there is division of labor occurring between cells. One cell does not do everything. Different cells do different types of function and all the cells work together. So that is known as tissue level of organization, because it forms tissues. So in coelentrates, the arrangement of the cell is more complex. Coelentrates are some type of organisms. So where cells are performing the same function, they are arranged in tissue. Hence, this is known as tissue level of organization. If you go more higher, more than coelentrates, if you go higher, there are some organisms. So cellular level was sponges. Okay, example for cellular level. So sponges, they are just cells. They don't have different types of, they don't form tissues, they don't work together. They are just single cell. Whereas if you talk about this one, coelentrates. In coelentrates, what happened? Coelentrates work together. Different cells work together. They have division of labor. There are different cells performing different function. So it is called tissue level. Then if you go more higher, for example, platyhelminthes and higher classes. Now, what is the order in which we study organism? What is the most basic organism? What is the most advanced organism? I went from sponges to platyhelminthes. Sponges, coelentrates. Now I am telling about platyhelminthes. Platyhelminthes have organ system. In what order am I going? I will tell you further. Okay. So what you need to know is platyhelminthes and higher phyla, they have tissues which are grouped to form organ. That is why this is called organ level of classification. Whereas in animals like annelids, arthropods, mollusks, and echinoderms and chordates, remaining all these organisms. What are the organisms? Annelids, arthropods, mollusks, echinoderms, and chordates. These are associated with different functional systems, and each system has different phylogenetic physiological function. All the organs work together and they have a physiological function, a function to do. Our digestive system has a function, that is digestion. So this is known as organ system level of classification. So organ systems in different group of animals, they show some patterns and complexities. For example, digestive system in platyhelminthes has only one opening. Though we have different organisms which have digestive system, but the digestive systems also can be different. In platyhelminthes, there is just one opening outside the body that serves as both mouth and anus. They eat from the same opening and they excrete from the same opening. So poor of platyhelminthes. So that is about platyhelminthes. They have a mouth and anus, and hence it is called incomplete. A complete digestive system has two openings, mouth and anus. That is one complete digestive system. It has to have one opening for food to enter, another opening for food to exit. But when you talk about platyhelminthes, they just have one opening. So now, same way you have circulatory system, which can be of two types. A circulatory system which is of open type and a circulatory system which is of closed type. So open type circulatory system in which blood is pumped out of the heart. Blood is pumped out of the heart in both closed and open. But here, blood is pumped out of the heart and cells and tissues are directly bathed in it. It's just putting the blood outside. Heart is pumping the blood outside and all the cells and tissues are around it. It is just bathed in it. But in our body, blood is pumped outside the heart and it goes from different what? Blood vessels to different types of cells. Cells are not directly present in the heart. Blood is not flowing entirely simply throughout the body. It flows through blood vessel. So that is why our system is known as closed type. Got the difference? So for example, let me just show you here. So we have, this is the heart, for example. Blood is pumped outside the heart and around this you have different cells. The cells just take blood direct. But we have a heart which pumps the blood and the blood will go through blood vessels to different parts of the body. We have blood vessels. So this is the difference between open and closed. We have arteries, veins, capillaries. These are different types of blood vessels. Now, we can talk about symmetry of animals. How are the animals appearing? We discussed about different body organization, that is cellular, organ, tissue, organ system. We started cellular with sponges. We started organ with platyhelminthes. We started tissue with coelentrates. Then we started organs, platyhelminthes. Then we spoke about organ system, which had all the remaining phyla. So now we are going to study about symmetry. So symmetry, animals can be classified based on their symmetry, how they are appearing, whether they are symmetrical. Symmetrical means is there some kind of pattern in their appearance? Okay, so sponges are mostly asymmetrical. Sponges don't have any symmetry, obviously, because they are cellular. How can they have a kind of symmetry? They are just loose cells. What kind of symmetry will a loose cell have? So they are asymmetrical. They don't have any plane. We cannot cut the sponge equally to exact equal pieces. It does not have exact any plane passing. You cannot draw a line on the sponge which will divide the body into equal parts. When any plane passing through the central axis of the body divides the organism into two identical halves, it is known as radial symmetry. For example, cake you have seen, right? There are you have one heart-shaped cake and you have another cake which is circular. Circular cake means what? Or yes, circular cake. So if you have a circular cake, you can cut it from wherever you like. If you draw a straight line on the cake any axis, it will cut the cake into equal half. That is known as radial symmetry. Correct. So for example, this is my cake. Same way, this is my organism. This is some organism. So this organism, if I draw a line in the middle, I have cut it into two equal halves. Both are circle. Or if I cut it from here, still I am dividing it into equal half. This half and this half are similar. But when you talk about this shape cake, here you need to draw a line only in the middle. Otherwise, there is no other plane. If I draw a line like this, will it divide it into equal half? No. Right. So this is the concept. Next, you have some organisms. So example of this radial symmetry are coelentrates, ctenophores, echinoderms. These have a one plane. You can cut the organism into equal parts by drawing one perfect plane. You cannot randomly draw anywhere. Okay, so that is known as radial symmetry. Next, you have animals like annelids, arthropods. All these animals can be divided into identical left and right half. Just like human, identical left and right half. Externally, if you see, inside organs are obviously not same for humans, but it will divide exactly in the middle, right? Almost similar parts. This side you have one hand, another hand that side. So this is known as bilateral symmetry. Bilateral, because you can see here radial symmetry. So this is one organism which I can cut from any axis. It will divide the organism into equal half. Whereas this is our organism which I need to cut only from the middle to divide it into two equal half. Now, diploblastic and triploblastic organization. We learned about what all body, different types of organization, how the body is arranged. Then we learned about this one, symmetry. Now we are going to learn about diploblastic and triploblastic organization. In diploblastic and triploblastic organization, there is nothing. Animals in which cells are arranged in two embryonic layers, ectoderm and endoderm. They are known as diploblastic. For example, you can see here two layers it is having. It has one ectoderm outside and it has an endoderm inside. It has one ectoderm outside. This layer, purple color layer is ectoderm. Inside you have another layer of cells where lot of cells are arranged. Outside lot of cells are there. Inside there are lot of cells. This is known as diploblastic because you have two layers. When a baby is forming, first time it is a group of cells, right? So that starting when that organism is getting formed, if it is forming from two layers, that is diploblastic. If it is having multiple layers, especially if it is having three layers, so you can look here, one layer, two layer, three layer of cell. Here this is not a layer, okay? Here you don't have cells here. But here see, you can see you have cells here, here, here. Three types of layers you have. This is known as triploblastic type of organization. For example, you can see a diploblastic example are coelentrates. An undifferentiated layer, mesoglia, is present in between. This is having a layer which is not differentiated. That is known as mesoglia. Let me just erase everything once. This layer is known as mesoglia, the in-between layer between the ectoderm and endoderm. Whereas here you don't have any mesoglia. Those are cells. So those animals in which developing embryo, when the embryo is just developing, I told you, right, when the baby is just forming, when the embryo is just developing, if it is having a third germinal layer, mesoderm, in between it is having another layer. If the baby is forming just from two layer of cells, just it is having two layers, in between it is having mesoglia, that is diploblastic. If it has three layers of cells, that is, if it has a mesoderm in between, that is known as triploblastic organization. Example for this is platyhelminthes and chordates. Now mesoglia I showed you, right? So say mesoglia can be now we'll talk about coelom. So how is the coelom? How is the coelom of organism? So coelom presents an absence of cavity. In the, you can look here, see, in the middle layer there can be a cavity. See, our body also has cavity. Entirely first there is one cell. Okay. For example, let me give you an example. You all of you have seen a donut. We have one batter, for example. I make hole in the batter. So that hole, after making hole in the middle, there is a hole, right? Then I expand the batter and I give it some shape. So that hole is called the coelom, whether it has any cavity. Okay. So our body is getting formed because of cavity here. If there is a cavity here, that cavity is only organisms, our organs are present generally. All our organs that you see, heart, stomach, digestive system, all those are present in the body cavity, right? So the body should have some spaces inside it. Those spaces are formed later. First, the entire body is just like a cell. During embryo development, it is just like a group of cells. It is having three layers. But then the layers develop, it has coelom. If the layer has coelom, that coelom forms different organs inside it. So you can look here. Presence and absence of cavity in the body wall and the gut wall is very important, because the body cavity is lined by mesoderm is called coelom. See, if the body cavity is lined by mesoderm, it is called coelom. Animals possessing coelom are called coelomates. All the animals that have the coelom cavity in the mesoderm, they are known as coelomate, because coelom means cavity. Coelom, cavity. Organisms which have cavity, coelomate. Example: annelids, mollusks, arthropods, echinoderms, hemichordates, and chordates. In some animals, the body cavity is not lined by the mesoderm. Instead, the mesoderm is present as scattered pouches in between ectoderm and endoderm. Such body cavity is called pseudocoelom. See here. When you look here, the coelom, this is our coelom. This coelom is having around it mesoderm layer. This is mesoderm layer around the coelom, but it is present properly, right? Here it is present properly. But when you talk about this case, when you talk about this case, the cavities are present here like this. This is the cavity. These are the cavity. But here around this it is present as scattered pouches. Here the mesoderm is scattered everywhere. There are so many mesoderm is present everywhere, right? Like scattered. It is not present properly in form of two cavities. So this is known as pseudocoelomates. So pseudocoelomates are, they have a cavity called pseudocoelom, and the animals possessing them are called pseudocoelomates. Example is Ascalminthus. The animals in which the body cavity is absent, body cavity itself is not there. You can see here, there is no cavity. This middle will be there. Middle, all organisms will have this middle pore, what you can see. But inside the mesoderm, is there a cavity? This is mesoderm, right? This is our mesoderm. This layer is our mesoderm. Thus, this layer have any hole? It is completely colored. See, it's completely colored. It doesn't have any coelom, any hole present in that, cavity present in that. So this is known as acoelomate. Now, segmentation. How are the animals segmented? If some organisms, for example, earthworm is a see, earthworm is having body, their body is divided into many segments, many pieces. It's just like puzzle pieces. I just attached many pieces, just like train otherwise. Train compartment you have seen, right? Many compartments will join together and form a train. So like that, if the body is externally and internally divided, inside also if it is divided into different parts with serial repetition of at least some organ should repeat. At least one organ should be repeating 2 times in the body in different segment. That is known as segmentation. For example, in earthworm, body shows pattern known as metameric segmentation, and this phenomenon is called as metamerism. Metamerism means metameric segmentation. It is having a metameric segmentation, and that segmentation is known as metamerism. Next, we are going to study about notochord. This is very important. Notochord is mesodermally divided rod-like structure. On mesoderm, we have a rod-like structure divided. Mesodermally derived rod-like structure. This mesoderm, what I showed you, layer, that forms a rod-like structure formed on the dorsal side. On our dorsal side, we have during embryonic development in some organisms, animals with notochord are called chordates. We have spinal cord, right? So cord, that cord-like structure which is present, spinal cord, which is formed from mesoderm. Mesoderm is the middle layer of the cell's tissue. Spinal cord is present obviously in the middle, right? Inside our body, it's not present outside, or it is not present completely inside the cavity. So it's formed from mesoderm layer. So mesodermally it is derived rod-like structure, which is formed during embryonic development. When we are developing during embryo, we had this cord-like structure which is formed. Animals with notochord are called chordates. Now let's classify animals. So this table again becomes very important, very important. So listen to me carefully. So now here when you talk about this table, we are discussing about animalia. And animalia, almost all animals are multicellular. They have cellular level of organization in which the tissues are formed by loosely arranged cells. The cells are loosely arranged, but ultimately they have many cells. Many cells work together and form one organism. They are not divided into different groups. Different cells don't perform different activity. In case of this one, cellular level of organization, which is mostly asymmetrical, which is acoelomate, porifera. Acoelomate because they don't have coelom. Example of that is porifera, that is one phylum. Now, when you talk about, see, these are different phylum in increasing order. First is porifera, then you have coelenterata or nidaria. Coelenterata is only known as nidaria. Okay, coelenterate they have. Then you have Ctenophora, then you have Platyhelminthes, then you have Aschelminthes, Annelida, Arthropoda, Mollusca, Echinodermata, Hemichordata, Chordata. This is how actually the entire evolution also took place. From single cell, organisms form multicellular organisms, correct? They became more and more complex. So this is basic one. This basic organism became so complex as you go further. So you can look here. So they have tissue or organ system level of organization. These animals, all these that you can see, they can have radial or bilateral symmetry. The first one was asymmetrical. This radial symmetry is acoelomata, which is example is coelenterata or nidaria, Ctenophora. Whereas when you talk about bilateral symmetry, in bilateral symmetry, body cavity is not present in acoelomates. Example is Platyhelminthes. I told there is no body cavity in Platyhelminthes. With false coelom, if they have a false coelom, the coelom is not proper, so they are Aschelminthes. If they have a true coelom, cavity, coelom means cavity, I told you. If they have a proper cavity in the mesoderm, they are Annelida, Arthropoda, Mollusca, Echinodermata, Hemichordata and Chordata. That is we humans which are chordata, because we have chordate. Now, let's talk about phylum Porifera. This is the first phylum. So phylum Porifera members are known as sponges. They are generally marine. They live in water. Asymmetrical animals. These are primitive multicellular animals, they have cellular level of organization. They are multicellular. They have many cells, but their organization is cellular. The cells are not working together and performing some different kind of functions. So, sponges have water transport or canal system. They have a canal system inside them. Water enters through minute pores called ostia. As you can see, all of these have small, small holes, pores. So you can see these small, small, tiny, tiny pores that you can see. Even this has pores. Even this has pores. So all porifera. From the name itself, you can understand pore, porifera. That's why, because they have small, small pores which can allow the water to enter inside the central cavity, that is known as spongiocele. Inside they have a cavity, spongiocele, which takes the water inside from the pores, which are known as ostia. Ostia is the pore. From ostia, water enters and goes inside the main cavity, which is known as spongiocele. From where it goes through osculum. From after going inside the cavity, from osculum it goes out of the body. From osculum it goes away. From ostia it enters, water enters, it goes inside spongiocele. From there it is excreted from osculum. The pathway of water transport is helpful in gathering food. From with when water is flowing inside it, along with water, food will go inside. So it helps to gather the food and removal of waste. Respiratory exchange also happens along with water. Oxygen and all can go inside. Quanocytes or collar cells line the spongiocele and the canals. Digestion is intracellular. Digestion happens inside the cell. They don't have separate digestive system. Each cell is doing the digestion. The body is supported by a skeleton made up of spicules, spongin, fibers. Why they have this kind of shape? Obviously, they should have some skeleton. So the skeleton is known as spicule or fiber. They are made up of spongin fiber. Okay. So they are known of a skeleton made up of spicule or spongin fiber. From that it is made. Sexes are not separate. They don't have separate male and female. Obviously, these are cellular organisms. They are not very complex organisms. So that is known as hermaphrodite. Hermaphrodite means both male and female, they don't have separate sexes. So both are, there is nothing called male, nothing called female. So eggs and sperms are produced by the same individual. Same organism is producing the egg, same organism is producing the sperm. Sponges reproduce asexually by fragmentation and sexually by formation of gametes. Asexually, they will this will break, this piece will break from here and it will go down and it will grow into an entire organism, that is known as fragmentation. Whereas otherwise it can release this gametes, because I told you here itself, right? You can see eggs and sperms, nothing but gametes. They can release gametes. So fertilization is internal. Fertilization takes place inside the body and development is indirect, having larval stage, which is morphologically distinct from the adult. Fertilization of the egg and the sperm takes place inside this organism, but development is indirect. It is having a larval stage. Larva, small larva stage will be there, which is morphologically distinct from the adult. It is little different from the adult morphologically. Examples of these are Sycon, that is Scypha, Spongilla, this freshwater sponge. Scypha is the normal name. When you talk in biology, the name is Sycon. Spongilla is freshwater sponge. Euspongia is bath sponge, also known as bath sponge, Euspongia. Next, we have phylum Coelenterata. Next phylum is Coelenterata. Now we learnt about mainly sponges, porifera. They were having lot of pores. Water used to enter from the ostia. It used to go inside the body cavity. Then it used to go out from the osculum, spongiocele, sponge, seal inside. They have a cavity. So they are now Coelenterata are aquatic. They are also marine. All basic organisms which are not very much advanced are obviously marine. They will be found in water. These are aquatic, mostly marine, sessile or free swimming. They are generally free, they are free swimming. Radially symmetrical animals. Radially they are symmetrical. See, all of them you can see. Here I can cut this from any side. It is almost similar. This also you can cut from any side. Correct. So they are free swimming. The name Nidaria is derived from the nidoblast or nidocytes, which contain stinging capsules. They have some capsules which can sting. Nematocytes. present on tentacles of the body. Cnidoblasts are used for anchorage, for sticking in one place, or for defense, or to capture their prey. If they want to capture their prey, they have a central, they exhibit tissue level of organization. They are diploblastic. Diploblastic, I told you, from two layers of cells only they are formed. They have a central gastrovascular cavity with a single opening on mouth called hypostome. Digestion is extracellular and intracellular. Some cnidarians, example corals have skeleton composed of calcium carbonate. They have little hard skeleton. Example corals. Cnidarians exhibit two basic forms, polyp and medusa. They have two body forms, polyp and medusa. See here also you can see. Aurelia example. Aurelia is the medusa, whereas Adamsia is polyp. These are two different forms, polyp and medusa. The former is sessile and cylindrical form like Hydra, Adamsia, whereas later is umbrella shaped and free swimming. One is fixed, sessile, it is fixed. Other one is free living and umbrella shaped. So you can see this looks like an umbrella, whereas this is not like an umbrella. This is fixed. It is fixed down. It is fixed. This is free swimming. Freely it can swim. Like Aurelia or jellyfish. Those cnidarians which exhibit both forms exhibit alternation. Which exist in both forms exhibit alternation of generation, metagenesis. Polyps produce medusae asexually. Polyp will produce medusa. Medusa means what? What is polyp and what is medusa? I told you. So polyp, they have two body form. The polyp is fixed one. So the fixed one, polyp, the fixed organism will produce medusa, the free living one. How? Asexually. And medusae form polyp sexually. Medusae, because they are free living, freely they can swim, they will also form polyp, but sexually. So this example is Obelia. Examples are Physalia, Portuguese man of war is the other name. Brackets, I will not be reading the name in the brackets, you can read them, those are common names. Adamsia, Penatula, Gorgonia, Meandrina. Okay, next we have Ctenophora. Ctenophora is nothing but, ctenophores are commonly called sea walnut or comb jellies, and they are also again marine. They are radially symmetrical. Again, you can divide their body from any plane you can see here. Then diploblastic organisms, the tissue level of organization. The body bears 8 external rows of ciliated comb plates. You can see they have cilia, like comb plate. They have ciliated comb plates which help in locomotion. It will help them in moving. So digestion is both extracellular and intracellular. It can happen outside the cell digestion or inside the cell. Bioluminescence is one property. They can emit light. Bioluminescence means they can emit light. The property of living organisms to emit light is well marked by ctenophores. Sexes are not separate. Reproduction takes place only by sexual means. Reproduction will take place only by sexual mean. Fertilization is external and indirect development. Indirect development means outside the organism is getting developed indirectly. So examples are pleurobrachia or ctenoplana. These are the examples. This is our ctenoplana or pleurobrachia. Example of ctenophora, pleurobrachia example. This is our pleurobrachia. Next you have platyhelminthes. Platyhelminthes are also known as flatworms because they have flat body, dorsoventrally flat body. These organisms are mostly endoparasite. They live inside the body of organisms. Sometimes lot of platyhelminthes flatworms are found inside the body of human beings also. They do operation and remove them. So they are present inside the animals including human beings. Flatworms are bilaterally symmetrical. Bilaterally they are symmetrical. We can cut them into one from middle plane. If you divide them, it creates two similar portions. Triploblastic, from 3 layer of germinal cells. Acoelomate elements, they don't have proper coelom, they don't have cavity inside the mesoderm. So the animals with organ level of classification, they have organs. hooks and suckers are present, which in parasitic form. Hooks and suckers are used to suck the food, get food. So in parasitic form, they will go and they will join with hook to your body and they will suck all the food from your body. Some of them absorb nutrients from the host directly through their body surface. Specialized cells called flame cells help in osmoregulation and excretion. They help them to regulate their body and they help them to excrete also. Special cells which are known as flame cells. Sexes are not separate. Again here also sexes are not separate. Both male and female are not separate. They are present in one organism. Fertilization is internal and development is through many larval stages. Some members like planaria, they possess high regeneration capacity. They can regenerate again and again. Even if you cut them, even whatever you do, they can regenerate. They can produce new organisms. Like example, planaria. Taenia is tapeworm. Fasciola is liver fluke. Next you have phylum Aschelminthus. So phylum Aschelminthus is, the body of Aschelminthus is circular. There it was flat, dorsoventrally. Here it is circular in cross section. Hence the name roundworms. That's why they are called roundworms. They may be free living, they are aquatic, terrestrial. Now finally they are present in land. This Aschelminthus, some of them are found in terrestrial places also, that is on land. They are free living. They are not present in water or inside the host body. They are freely living and they are aquatic or parasitic also. They can be parasitic also in plants and animals. Roundworms have organ system level of body organization. They are bilaterally symmetrical, triploblastic, pseudocoelomate animals. Alimentary canal is complete with well-developed muscular pharynx. Their alimentary canal is complete. Alimentary canal means the digestive system, not the exact system from where the food passes and it has to exit the body. That is complete system. They have muscular pharynx also, which can help the food to go inside. An excretory tube removes the body waste from the body cavity through excretory pore. Sexes are separate. They are dioecious. They are not hermaphrodite. That is in one organism only both sexes. They are dioecious. They have separate sexes. Dioecious means males are separate, females are separate. Often females are longer than males. Females are tall, unlike humans. Nowadays humans, females are shorter. So this is opposite. Females are longer. Fertilization is internal and development may be direct. The young ones resemble the adult, or development can be indirect also. Development is direct. If the development is direct, the young one will be resembling the adult. Young one will be similar to the adult if it is forming directly development. If it is indirect, also it is possible. Examples are Ascaris, roundworm, Wuchereria, filarial worm, and Cyclostoma, that is hookworm. Next we have Annelida. So these are aquatic again. These are marine or freshwater, or they can be terrestrial also, present on land. They can be free living and sometimes they are parasitic. They exhibit organ level of organization. They have bilateral symmetry. Bilaterally they can divide. They are triploblastic, metamerically segmented. You can see here so many segments they have. Their body in between so many segments. Correct. Next, or metameres they have. Hence the phylum name is Annelida, for little ring, because they have little rings. Annelida. They possess longitudinal and circular muscles which help them in locomotion. Aquatic annelids like Nereis possess lateral appendages, parapodia, which help them in swimming. They have parapodia which will help them in swimming. A closed circulatory system is present. They have a closed circulatory system, not open. So nephridia, open means the cells are directly present inside the blood is directly pumping through the cells. It is not going through tubes. But here properly there is a circulatory system, closed circulatory system. Nephridia, singular is nephridium. Lot of nephridia means it is nephridia. Lot of nephridium. If there are 5 nephridium, it is called nephridia. They help in osmoregulation and excretion. Neural system consists of paired ganglion. So they have nervous system, neurons. So their nervous system is made up of paired ganglia. Ganglia is a part of which the nervous system is made, and they are connected by lateral nerves. From nerves, the ganglia are connected. For example, this is the lateral nerve. From here, paired ganglia are coming. So singular of that is ganglia. This is one ganglia. So like that you have lateral nerves. Double ventral nerve cord. They have a nerve cord also. Nereis is an aquatic form and is dioecious. But earthworm, dioecious means Nereis has both separate male and female in case of Nereis. But earthworm and leeches are monoecious. Earthworm, there is no male earthworm, no female earthworm. Earthworm is earthworm, that's all. But when you talk about Nereis, there is male Nereis or female Nereis because they are dioecious. Leeches are also monoecious. Reproduction is sexual. Nereis, Ferretima, that is earthworm, and Hirudinaria, which is blood-sucking leech. Next is phylum Arthropoda. This is one of the largest phylum, that is insects, what we see in our daily life. So from water, we are slowly going to terrestrial. Are you able to notice that? We started only with marine, then the previous two were terrestrial. Now we are going mainly to the terrestrial organisms. Example, largest phylum is Arthropoda. There are a lot of insects in this world, which includes insect. Over 2/3 of all named species on the earth is Arthropoda. They have organ system of organization. They have different organs which are arranged in the form of system. They have bilateral symmetry, triploblastic. See, most of them have bilateral symmetry. I can cut them from middle to form into two similar parts. So these are segmented and coelomate animals. The body of arthropods is covered by chitinous exoskeleton. They have a chitinous exoskeleton. Their body is having outside, just like how we have skin, they have one protection, hard layer. You have seen cockroaches, they have hard outside. You have seen most of the insects, they have a little hard layer that is known as exoskeleton. It is made up of chitin. The body consists of head, thorax and abdomen. They have one head, they have thorax and they have abdomen. So they have pair of jointed appendages. Arthropoda means jointed. Their legs are jointed. They have two jointed legs. So that is known as arthropoda. Respiratory organs are gills, book lungs, or tracheal system. They have a proper tracheal system, trachea, or they have book lungs, book gills, all those are different types. Circulatory system is open type. Here they don't have proper closed circulatory system. They have sensory organs like antenna to sense. They will be having two antenna. You have seen, you can just remember cockroach. It has antenna. It is having exoskeleton made up of chitin outside, brown color, hard layer, and it's blood. As soon as you have seen, cockroach is having open kind of circulatory system. They have book gills, book lungs, all those different types of system. So eyes are compound or simple. Their eyes can be compound or they can have a simple eyes. Stratocytes or balancing organs are present which help them to balance. They have stratocyst. Excretion takes place through Malpighian tubules. They have Malpighian tubule from which excretion will take place. Nothing but a tube from which the waste material is excreted. That is known as Malpighian tubule. They are mostly dioecious. Male and female are separate, obviously. Male cockroach is separate, female cockroach is separate, male grasshopper is separate, female grasshopper is separate. Butterfly, male butterfly is separate. Male butterflies are very attractive, beautiful, colorful, whereas female butterflies are boring. They are not colorful. So again, there are different, correct, male and female. Fertilization is usually internal. They are mostly oviparous. Generally, they lay eggs. You have seen, again, all these are basic. Arthropoda is what you see everywhere. They lay eggs. And development may be direct or indirect. Development can be taken directly, the organism's development inside the body, or it can be indirect development also. Economically important insects are apis, honeybee, bombyx silkworm, lacifer, lac insect. Vectors are Anopheles, culex, Aedes, mosquitoes. Aedes is mosquito. So economically important insects are honeybee is important, silkworm is important, lacifer, lac insect is important. Vectors which transmit diseases generally, Anopheles, culex, Aedes, mosquitoes are there. Gregarious pest which damage our plants, that is Luscata or luscat. Living fossil is Limulus, that is king crab. That is a living fossil which is present from long duration of time. From many years it is present. So it is known as living fossil. Next you have mollusca. This is second largest kingdom. First largest is arthropoda. Next is mollusca. So mollusks are terrestrial or aquatic.
They are having organ system level of classification. They are also bilaterally symmetrical, triploblastic coelomate animals. Body is covered by calcareous shell. There it was chitinous shell. Body was having chitin, not shell. Chitin is covering. Here it is having calcareous shell, like shell. You have seen. See, this is like shell, hard shell, and is unsegmented with a distinct head. You cannot segment them. They have a proper head, muscular foot, and visceral hump. A body segment means a body is not into pieces, segments, right? Spongy layer. Skin forms mantle over the visceral hump. The space between hump and the mantle is called mantle cavity. They have a mantle, inside they have skin. So between the skin and the mantle, the space that is present, that is known as mantle cavity. Between the hump and mantle. Okay, skin is forming hump, visceral hump. Between that, the space is known as this. So feather-like gills are present. They have respiratory and excretory functions. The anterior head has sensory tentacles. Anterior head is having some tentacles to sense. Mouth contains file-like rasping organ for feeding called radula. Mouth is having rasping organ for feeding, for eating. It is having an organ that is called radula. So you can see pila and octopus are two examples here. This is pila, this is our octopus. So they are usually dioecious, male and female again separate. Oviparous, oviparous means they lay egg with indirect development. They lay egg and development is indirect of organism. Pila, that is apple snail. Pinctada, pearl oyster. Sepia, cuttlefish. Loligo is squid. Octopus is devilfish. Aplysia is also known as sea hare. Dentalium is known as tusk shell. Chaetoplura is known as chitin. Next you have echinodermata. Echinodermata are they have an exoskeleton made up of calcareous ossicles. So they have all are marine organ with organ system level of classification. The adult echinoderms are radially symmetrical, but larvae is bilaterally symmetrical. They have coelomate animals, triploblastic. Digestive system is complete. Mouth is on the lower ventral side. Anus is on the upper dorsal side. The body is distinctive feature of echinoderms is presence of water vascular system, because they need to eat food from the bottom, right? Water animals, so they will consume food from the bottom, so the mouth is on the bottom, whereas the excretory system is on the upper side, dorsal side of the body. This is called dorsal, this is called ventral side. Lower side of the organism is ventral side, which helps in locomotion. They capture and transport food for respiration. Excretory system is absent. They don't have proper excretory system. Excretion they do, but they don't have proper system. Sexes are separate here also. Reproduction is sexual. Fertilization is external. Development is indirect with free swimming larva. Direct means directly the organism is formed. Here there is larva formed. Larva stage is there. Just like butterflies. Does butterfly form directly? It has a indirect stage right in between. Larva it forms. You have seen different organisms, they have in between stage. They don't directly grow into an organism. Whereas if you see human, directly the baby grows into an adult. Baby and adult is similar, they have same body. But here indirect stage. In between there will be a different stage. So this is again indirect with free swimming larva. Examples are Asteris, Echinus, Antedon, Cucumeria, Ophiura. Next you have Hemichordata. Hemichordata was earlier considered under phylum Chordata, but now it is separated under non-Chordata. That's why Hemichordata. First it was considered as Chordata. Now it is considered as they are not Chordata. They are separate. Hemichordata is separate. Chordata because they don't have notochord. Hemichordata have a rudimentary structure on the collar region called stomochord. They don't have notochord. They have stomochord. Rudimentary structure. See in the collar, you can see here, they have a kind of structure which is known as stomochord. That's why, which is similar to notochord. It is not notochord, so they are not chordates. But it is similar to notochord, so we call them hemichordates. The phylum consists of small group of worm-like marine animals with organ system level of classification. They are bilaterally symmetrical, triploblastic coelomate animals. The body is cylindrical and composed of proboscis, collar, and trunk. It is having proboscis, collar, and trunk. The respiration takes place through gills. Excretory organs, proboscis glands, sexes are separate, fertilization is external, development is indirect. Examples are Balanoglossus and Sarcoglossus. Those are examples. Phylum Chordata. This is our last phylum. So phylum Chordata are they have notochord and they have dorsal hollow nerve cord. They have a proper nerve cord from where nervous system comes, and they have a notochord. They have paired pharyngeal gill slits. They have gill slits also. So these are bilaterally symmetrical. Bilaterally they can cut from middle and you will have symmetry. Triploblastic, coelomate with organ system level of organization. They possess post-anal tail. They have a tail behind the anus from where the waste material is produced. Like monkeys you have seen, they have tail. So they have post-anal tail part. They have a closed circulatory system. So circulatory system is all obviously closed. So this is comparison chart. In chordates, notochord is present. Here notochord is not present. Here central nervous system is dorsal. Here central nervous system is ventral. Solid and double, hollow and single. Here it is. In case of chordates, nervous system is hollow and single. Pharynx is perforated by gill slits. Gill slits are absent. Heart is ventral, heart is dorsal here if present in non-chordates. Post-anal tail is present, post-anal tail is absent in non-chordates. Phylum Chordata is divided into three subphyla. Urochordata is nothing but tunicata, whereas Cephalochordata and Vertebrata are other two. So three types of subphyla are there. Subphyla means under phylum. Again we can divide them into three types. So subphyla Urochordata and Cephalochordata are often referred to as Protochordata. This Urochordata and Cephalochordata, these two. So basically this and this is considered as Protochordata. Proto means first, they were formed before, right? Something which is formed before, Protochordata. Before all the chordates forming, these were first type of chordates produced. Hence they are mainly marine. They are exclusively marine. They are marine only. In Urochordata, notochord is present only in larval tear, while in Cephalochordata it extends from head to tail region. Notochord is present only in tail. In case of these people, in case of Urochordata, whereas when you talk about Cephalochordata, here it extends from head to tail. Examples are Urochordata, Ascidia is example, Salpa is example, Doliolum is example, and Cephalochordata examples are Bronchiostoma, that is this one, Amphictus and Lancelet. The members of subphylum Vertebrata possess notochord. So next we have vertebrates, that is we. We are all vertebrates. So vertebrates are, they have a notochord which is replaced by vertebral column. We have cartilaginous vertebral column, right? Spinal cord. It is made up of cartilaginous, sort of rings. So thus all vertebrates are chordates, but all chordates are not vertebrates. We have vertebral column. Those had chordate, they had notochord, but we have notochord which is having lot of columns, cartilaginous structure. So we are called as vertebrates. But before this, whatever subphylum, other two subphylum you studied, they were not vertebrates. So besides the basic chordate characters, vertebrates have ventral muscular heart. We have a ventral, we have muscular heart present in the front side with 2, 3 or 4 chambers. Kidneys for excretion and osmoregulation, and paired appendages which may be fins or limbs. Vertebrates in their division is Agnatha, Gnathostomata. In Agnatha, they don't have jaw. Agnatha doesn't have jaw. Gnatha means jaw. Okay. Gnathostomata have jaw. Here you have class Cyclostomata, whereas in this you have Pisces, Pisces, that is fishes, and Tetrapoda, which is having limbs. Pisces have fins, Tetrapoda have limbs. Here you have these two, and here you have these four. Finally, we'll be discussing about all this. So let me just wrap it up fast. So cyclostomata, all living members of cyclostomata are ectoparasites on some fishes. They are present on fishes. They have elongated body bearing of this much gills, pairs of gill slits for respiration. Cyclostomata have sucking and circular mouth without jaw. They don't have jaw. Their body is devoid of scales and paired fins. They don't have paired fins. They don't have scales like which is present on fishes. Cranium and vertebral column are cartilaginous. Circulation is of closed type. They have proper closed circulatory system. Cyclostomes are marine but migrate for spawning to fresh water. They are present in sea water, marine water, but then when they want to give lay eggs, they will go to fresh water. Or after spawning, within few days they die. Their larvae, after metamorphosis, return to the ocean. After their larvae grows up, it comes back to the ocean. Next examples are petromyzon or myxine, that is hagfish. Next you have chondrichthyes. Chondrichthyes are marine organisms with streamlined body. Their body is so sharp, like an airplane. Streamlined body they have. They have cartilaginous endoskeleton. The mouth is present ventrally, and notochord is persistent throughout the life. Then notochord is present throughout life. They have separate gill slits are separate without operculum. They don't have operculum, gill covering the gills from where fish is taking oxygen and all. There they don't have operculum, a covering they don't have. The skin is tough, containing minute placoid scales. Teeth are modified placoid jaws. Scales which are backward directed. See, teeth are pointing backward. Their jaws are very powerful. These animals are predaceous. They will predate. They will eat other organisms. Due to absence of their air bladder, they swim constantly to avoid sinking. They don't have air bladder which can fill their body with air to float. So if they want to stop sinking, they want to stop falling down, they should keep swimming continuously. So always they keep swimming. Heart is two chambered, one auricle and one ventricle. Some of them have electric organ like torpedo, they can give current, electric shock. Some possess poisonous sting, that is trigon. Then they lack cold-blooded poikilothermous animal. They are cold-blooded poikilothermous animal. They lack the capacity to regulate body temperature. Poikilothermous, cold-blooded. We are all warm-blooded. Warm-blooded means we can control our body temperature. We sweat, right, to regulate our body temperature, but they cannot regulate their body temperature. They are cold-blooded. Sexes are separate. In males, pelvic fins are bear claspers. They have internal fertilization, and many of them are viviparous. They don't lay egg. Internal fertilization, internal development will take place. The inside the body of the female itself, they give birth to organism. The organism will grow. That is called fertilization. Also takes place inside, and that. So scoliodon, dogfish, pristis, carcharodon, trigon. These are examples. Next you have osteichthyes. It includes both marine and freshwater fishes with bony endoskeleton. Their body is streamlined, mouth is mostly terminal. They have 4 pairs of gills covered by operculum. Gills are covered by operculum. The skin is cycloid, ctenoid scales. Air bladder is present, which can regulate their buoyancy. Buoyancy means it can help them to go up and down, float in the water. Heart is two chambered, one auricle and one ventricle. They are cold blooded. Sexes are separate. Fertilization is usually external. Fertilization of gametes takes place outside the body. They are mostly oviparous and development is direct. Marine example are these. Freshwater examples are these. In aquarium we have some fishes, fighting fish and all, angelfish. These are those examples. Class amphibia. Last now we have class amphibians, which lay generally both water and land. They are present, right? So until now most of them were water, all were water especially. Now we are going to come slowly on the land and water both. So amphibia means duo. They have both life. They live in aquatic as well as terrestrial. Most of them have two pair of limbs, hand and legs, just like how we have two pairs. So the head, trunk, tail may be present in some. Amphibian skin is moist without scales. The eyes have eyelid. A tympanum represents the ear. They have, instead of ear, they have a tympanum, like you can see here. Then alimentary canal, urinary tract, all these are open into common chamber called cochlea, which opens into the exterior. So alimentary canal, that is stomach, this food pipe, urinary, that is for urine passage, and reproductive tract, all are present in common opening from where it is open outside. Respiration is by gills, lungs, and through skin. The heart is three chambered, two auricles and one ventricle. These are cold blooded animals. Again, they cannot regulate their body temperature. Sexes are separate. Fertilization takes place outside the body, outside the body both gametes get fused. They are oviparous. They lay eggs generally. After fertilization they form eggs. Development is indirect. Examples are bufo, rana, hyla, salamander, ichthyopis, all this. Next you have reptilia. Reptilia are nothing but for creeping and crawling mode. They creep or they crawl. So they are mostly terrestrial organisms covered by dry and cornified skin. The skin is dry. Snakes you have seen. Epidermal scales and scutes are present. They do not have external ear openings. They don't have ear openings. Tympanum represents the ear. They have tympanum. Limbs when present are of two pairs. If they have limbs, they have two pair of limbs. Heart is usually three chambered but four chambered in crocodile. Only in crocodile there is 4-chambered. Crocodile is also a reptile, whereas other reptiles have 3-chambered heart. See, heart is having 4 chambers, 2 auricles and 2 ventricles. These organisms have only 3-chambered heart. And crocodiles have 4-chambered. Reptiles are poikilotherms. Poikilotherms means they can body temperature, they can regulate. Next you have snakes and lizards shed their scales as skin casts. Sexes are separated. Fertilization is internal. They are oviparous. They lay eggs and development is direct. Directly the organism will grow from the egg. Hatch. Correct. So turtle, testuda, chameleon, calotes, crocodiles, alligators, hemidactylus, poisonous snakes, naja, all this, vipera, that is viper. Now aves. Aves is nothing but birds. Birds. So the characteristic feature of aves or birds is feathers. They have feathers. They can fly, except some flightless birds like ostrich. All the birds can fly. They possess beak. The forelimbs are modified into wings. Their forelimbs. The limbs are front limbs are modified into wings. The hind limbs have generally have scales and are modified for walking, swimming, and clasping tree branches. Skin is dry without glands for except the oil gland at the base of the tail. At base of the tail, down below the tail, you can see it will be slightly silky, oily, because they have oil gland there. Exoskeleton is fully ossified, bony. They have bony exoskeleton, long bones with hollow air cavity. Their bones are empty inside so that they can have air to make them light. Digestive tract of birds has additional chambers. The crop and gizzard, they have additional chamber for digestion. The heart is completely 4-chambered. They are warm-blooded homoithermous animals, that is, they are able to maintain constant body temperature. They are able to maintain constant body temperature. Respiration is by lungs. Air sacs are connected to lungs, supplement respiration. Sexes are separate. Fertilization is internal, oviparous, and development is direct. They are oviparous, they lay egg, but fertilization takes place inside the body of the organism. They don't release the gametes outside the body for fusion. Inside the body of the female itself, the fusion takes place, but then it lays egg outside for development. Corvus, columba, that is parrot. Struthio, ostrich. Pavo is peacock. Aptenodytes is penguin, and Neophron is vulture. Last final class is mammalia. Mammalia are, they have hair on their body. They are in polar ice caps, deserts, mountains, forests, grasslands, everywhere they are present. Dark caves. Some of them have adapted to fly and live in water. Most of them have unique mammalian characters. So most unique characteristics of mammals is they have separate mammary glands which are used to produce milk for the babies. They can feed their babies by themselves to feed the young ones nourished. They have 2 pair of limbs. That is why they are called mammal, because they have mammary glands. Adapted for walking, running, climbing, burrowing, swimming, and flying. They have 2 pair of limbs which can do all this. They can walk, they can run, they can burrow, they can do swimming, they can fly. So the skin of the mammals is unique because it has hair. External ears are called pinnae. This external part of the ear is known as pinna or pinnae. Different types of teeth are present in the jaw. Heart is 4-chambered. They are homeothermous. Respiration is by lungs. Sexes are separate. Fertilization is internal. They are viviparous with few exceptions. Development is direct. Viviparous, there are only few, some of them lay egg. Otherwise, most of them development takes place inside the body. That is viviparous. Oviparous example is Ornithorhynchus, that is Platyhelminthes. Only Platyhelminthes lay egg. Otherwise, most of them are viviparous. Macropus, Pteropus, Camelus, Macaca, Ratus, Canis, Felis, Elephas, Equus, Delephus, Belanoptera, Panthera tigris, Panthera leo, all this I told you in the first chapter. So this is the chapter. That's all. So here the chapter comes to the end. Let me just once tell about all these, what all we learned. So Porifera, Coelenterata, Ctenophora, Platyhelminthes, Aschelminthes, Annelida, Arthropoda, Mollusca, Echinodermata, Hemichordata, Chordata. In Porifera, the level of organization is cellular. They have symmetry which is various, absent, 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 absent. Distinctive features are they have pores and canals in wall. That was about Porifera. Porifera was sponges. Sponges have cellular. Their symmetries, they don't have proper symmetry. Then coelom, all those are absent. Everything is absent. Whereas coelenterata have tissue level. They have radial symmetry, you can cut them from any part. Absent, they don't have coelom cavity, they don't have segmentation, they're not divided into segments. They have incomplete digestive system. They are absent circulatory system. Absent tenoblast are present. They have tenoblast, that is I told you, stinging organ. Then tissue, radial, absent, incomplete, absent, complex are present for locomotion. Organ and organ system, they have bilateral symmetry. You can cut them from middle. Then everything else is absent. They have flat body and suckers, but the digestive system is also incomplete. So still here everything was absent in all the organisms, and digestive system was incomplete except porifera, which didn't have digestive system at all because directly the nutrients will enter the body. Aschelminthus have organ system. They have bilateral symmetry, pseudocoelomate. They have some amount of pseudocoelomate. Then absent segmentation. They have complete digestive system. Everything else is absent. They are often worm-shaped and elongated. Annelida are organ system. They have coelomate present, complete present, absent. All this you can read. Organ system bilateral, coelomate present, complete present. Exoskeleton is, they have exoskeleton, jointed appendages. Arthropoda, their legs are jointed. Mollusca, they have bilateral symmetry, coelomate absent, complete present. External skeleton made up of shell, they have external shell like skeleton. Organ system radial. So still here segmentation was absent. Everywhere segmentation is absent, you can see. Only it is present in Annelida and Arthropoda. So everywhere else it is absent. Then you can see echinodermata, coelomate, complete, present, water vascular system they have. Then this is organ system, bilateral, coelomate, complete, present, all those. Bilateral symmetry, present, everything is present in the chordates. This is about the chapter. So thank you very much.